Now that we've taken a look at some of the do's and don'ts that come with trying to witness to a Muslim, I want to talk to you about some of the customs that come from the Middle East. Now, I didn't say from the Arab countries specific, I said the Middle East, because that's where Islam was born. It was born in the Middle East, and it was brought about and spread about from that area. So the Middle East basically encompasses from Afghanistan, you go clear across to Turkey in the north, from Iran down to the Arabian Peninsula, and the northern part of Africa goes clear across to Morocco and Tunisia and Algeria, Libya, and all that top area. That's what's classed as the Middle East, as the Arab countries. And when you try to understand the Arab people from a Western mindset, it's like trying to put oil and water together. You know, you can mix them for a little bit, but then when things settle, it separates again. The Arab mindset is very, very closed mindset. You know, 1,000 years ago, even more than that, they were very tribal people, and people stuck within their tribes. And so they still have, to a certain degree, a tribal mentality. If you're from their village or from their tribe or from their clan or from their family, then you have rights and privileges that other Arabs don't have in that area. Yet when it comes to Islam, they're pretty much, you know, on level. Everybody has the same rights and privileges in Islam. But we're talking about different ways of thinking. What we consider to be a friend in the West, in the Middle East, they consider to be a friend, but in a different way of looking at it. If you want to win Muslims, Proverbs 18:24 says, you know, if you want I'm going to paraphrase, if you want a friend, then you must first show yourself friendly. So understanding the Arab culture is, if you're already an Arab, you'll be invited to their house, they'll be invited to your house, you know, and you can talk and have a grand time. But when you're an outsider, that is a friendship that must be won, and it is hard fought because Westerners can see Arabs as coming over here and, you know, doing whatever. It must be hard fought. Whatever comes back at you at the beginning, don't think that they don't like you, don't think that they hate you. That's just their culture. To be a friend from an outsider can take some time and can take some effort. But if you want to win a Muslim to the Lord, if you work with them, if you see them in the stores, if you see them at the gas stations or you know, wherever, just a simple hello. And again, as we said in a couple of the previous sections, learn some of the phrases, learn some of the languages, and when you greet them with salam alaikum, or after a while they'll greet you with that, and then you return back wa alaikum salam, they will sort of break down that barrier because you're trying to be their friend. When Middle Easterners come to, whether it's the United States or England or Australia or Canada or New Zealand or any Western country, they automatically gravitate, as most nations do, to their own people. And so they end up in those enclaves. For example, I'll be going very shortly to Dearborn in Michigan, and there is the largest Muslim community in the city, in Dearborn, in all of America. They've gravitated to themselves because they understand their own culture. And it takes a lot for a non-Muslim or a non-Arab to break into that. But first, show yourself friendly. Do little things for them. Smile, which is really what we should do to all humankind. But when you come from a background where you're vilified, even if you've done nothing wrong, that bridge tends to be up. And those who are in the general of the vilification, they are the ones who need to break down the walls. So that's the first one. Show yourself to be friendly. In the word trust, Arabs in general, the Middle Easterners, they hold trust in extreme high esteem. And that is something that must be won, as it is with all cultures and all people. If you are going to win the trust of a Muslim, especially as a non-Muslim, or a non-Arab, if you say you're going to do something, then with all your power, try and follow through with that. It is something that once an Arab will trust you, you will find the walls break down considerably quicker than most other nations, or most other cultures, I should say. If we find that trust is hard to build, continue to be their friend. Once that trust has been built, you're pretty much in the door. You're pretty much able to start to speak about some of the things that God has placed on your heart to your Muslim friends or Muslim co-workers. We go straight from trust to, we go to respect. Then respect is something that we should give to all of mankind. But again, because the Westerners have this habit of vilifying Arabs and especially Muslims, we have built up a wall of disrespect in regards to Arabs. I've had people say to me, you know, all these Muslims are coming over here to America. You know, they're taking over America. Well, if you're a born-again Christian, that's actually something that should be excite you, because you and I can't go to Saudi Arabia, stand on a corner with a bullhorn and a Bible and start to preach. We'd be thrown in prison immediately. We can't go to Yemen, to Oman, to Qatar, to places like that. We can't go to Jordan. We can't go to Syria, although in some parts of Syria that is okay, and just preach the gospel as we can in most of the nations in the world. So what God is doing is, there's an old saying that the Arabs have: if Muhammad won't go to the mountain, bring the mountain to Muhammad. Seeing as we can't go there, God is bringing them here to our Western world, and bringing them into our lives. Now we have an opportunity to give them the gospel that has so graciously and richly saved us and brought us into the kingdom of light from the kingdom of darkness. Instead of looking at them as a bug and as a bear, look at that as an opportunity that you can bring the gospel to them, and that when they go back, if they go back, or when they talk to their families, they can bring the gospel to their families. So it's a paradigm shift. We must change our way of thinking. And getting back to that respect, when I became born again, and I told my family in Syria that I was now a Christian, that was one of the greatest signs of disrespect and dishonor to my family that I could have done to them back there. So consequently, in Aleppo, there is a grave there with a gravestone with my name on it, and the day that I became a Christian. So by doing what I did, I disrespected them. Now here in the West, if somebody becomes a Christian, we think, well, maybe they're a little bit crazy, or, well, that's your thing, go ahead. That's not what happens in the Middle East. So when you are speaking to them, respect that what you say may end up causing some kind of problem with their families, and so be careful what you say to them. And as you show them respect, as you say, hey, listen, I'm not here to try and bash you over the head with the Bible. I just want you to share with me what your beliefs are, and I will respect your beliefs, and I want to share with you what my beliefs are, and I know that you'll respect my beliefs as well. And so win their trust, win their friendship, and win their respect. When they do get born again, and I said if, I didn't say if, I said when they do get born again, their families, if they have not been westernized to a great deal, they will pretty much ostracize them, if not physically or verbally threaten them. That's where that friendship and that trust that you have built in the beginning stages comes in, because they will come to you and you will need to be there for them. It's not just something that you build so you can win them to the Lord and then adios amigo, they're out of here. The next one that I want to talk to is honor. Is a man, a Middle Eastern man, whether he be Muslim or not, to dishonor him in front of his family or in front of his friends is basically a no-no. No man likes to be dishonored. If a man asks you to not talk to his wife or to his children, then for the time being, until you have won his trust and his respect, Do not dishonor him by going past him and saying, well, I want to talk to your wife and I want to talk to your children. That's not something that you really should do. And that's just something that's inbred into most Middle Eastern people, clear from Morocco up to Afghanistan and Iran, Iraq, and then Turkey down to the Arabian Peninsula. That's something that is born into a Muslim man or Muslim people. One of the last things I want to talk about is a family. To Muslims, to the Middle East, families are extremely important. They are. It's like their second breath. We here in the West, when somebody gets old, we stick them into an old people's home and sort of go and visit them once a week, and then after about a year, we just forget to do that too, as a population in general. But Muslims and Arabs in general do not take their old people, do not take the people who are infirmed and put them someplace, the old saying, out of sight, out of mind. They're very family orientated. They will keep their elders with them until they die. They believe extremely strongly in that elders have a lot to give to the younger ones. And so they keep them with the family. The elders are respected, the elders are honored, the elders are trusted. And so when it comes to family, the young ones, they will, obey their elders, not just their mother and father, but their uncles and aunts and grandmothers and grandfathers, because the family unit in the Arabic culture, but more so in the Muslim culture, is extremely important to them. And it is not something that you make fun of. If you're talking to a young Muslim man or woman, and the person says to you, well, my father wouldn't like me saying that or hearing this or thinking that or going here or going there. One of the things you don't say is, well, who cares, you're over 18. That's not how it works in that way. Family is extremely important. And so that is something that you gingerly hold into your hands with kid gloves. And one of the last things I want to talk to you about is national pride. Now, Americans, we have national pride. America is great. We're the greatest thing since sliced bread and canned Coca-Cola. And we think that Americans are the only one that have, or not Americans, but Westerners are the only ones that have national pride. At the time of this recording, Syria is in a civil war. And so we have a nation that is divided amongst itself. We have people who have had enough of the dictatorship of one person, and they're fighting for their national pride. They're fighting for their nation as they can see it. The West just thinks, well, why don't you just get your act together and just start working it out? People could have said that back in 1864 when the Civil War started about in the U.S. Why don't you just figure it all out? National pride to the Arabs, whether you're Tunisian, whether you're Libyan or Algerian, Moroccan, Saudi Arabian, Syrian, Yemeni, Jordanian, Iraqi, Irani, Afghanistani, Pakistani, and any one of those countries, their national pride is extremely important to them. So as you're talking about their nation, remember, that's the nation of their forefathers. So consider that to be as if somebody from overseas came here and in front of you started to vilify America, or if you're in England, started to vilify England or Australia or wherever you're seeing this. It doesn't feel good, and it doesn't engender trust, and it doesn't engender, well, I want to listen to what you have to say. So those are the main subjects that I want to talk about when it comes to the customs of the Middle Eastern people. I'll quickly reiterate. They are friends, show yourself friendly, earn their trust, respect their culture. That doesn't mean you agree with their culture, neither does it mean that you agree with their religion, but you respect their culture and their religion. You honor their thoughts, and you honor their family trust and their family relationship. Keep their family high up in their estimation and in yours, and never vilify the national trust of any nation really, but we're talking here specifically about the Arab nations. So if you take what you've just learned here, take that to heart. Ask yourself, if I was over there, how would I feel with that kind of vilification? And remember that as the first one, if you want to win a friend, if you want to have friends, show yourself first to be friendly. Thank you.